right, it's Raj, Suvi, podcast number 3.
As quick as we can with the intro. I like the way you roll, right?
All
Here
right,
we go.
so let's see here. We are only doing podcasts when there's updates. So
Yes,
we'll do as many podcasts, so we can fit in the content. If there's not updates to do, then there's not going to be a podcast. So hence there was
right.
not one last week because there was too much to do in 1 week, right? So
Yeah.
all right. Any updates on your side? The first one that we're going to discuss is the UI update. I know you're at your laptop, so you can share if you want.
Yes, so prior to this, I have had no experience in this world. So thanks, Raj, for helping me explore my own abilities. So I worked with UI's Wizard. I don't know how to say it, Wizard, to build the UI. And let me hit present so we can quickly talk about it. Share screen. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, I gotta open settings and stuff.
You mu- you might have to. Well, if you haven't given Chrome permission before to share your. Oh, there we go. We see it now.
Okay, good. So there it is. Let me just go in really quick. Yeah, so yeah, I went on there and just started figuring it out, as I was going. And it's actually pretty intuitive, Wizard, which helped me kind of keep it simple. I started with the AI generation, and then I quickly realized I can do better.
Stupid
So,
AI. Yeah.
not there yet, not there yet. We're quickly arriving there. So let me go to the preview page. I live in the mountains, so excuse my internet speed. I'm even surprised that it's working.
Hmm.
Got it. All right. So here we are.
So I
This
see.
is,
I don't know what are you showing right now because I see it says this is a project temp. This project is a template. Are you showing
oh,
something
you don't,
else?
oh, share this tab instead. There you go. Is that
Yeah.
working?
Now I see it.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to quickly walk you through the UI I kind of generated from Wizard, using the information that we had from a previous podcast, which was, focusing on the education aspect of SyncTogether. Just for everyone who don't have an idea as to what SyncTogether is, it's a virtual record label that we are building from scratch, which is what this podcast Beats Decoded is about. I have had no experience in this world, so Raj has been really kind to help me out with this process. And I'm realizing along the way that I have been learning a lot, like really quick. And yeah, it's been very insightful. So this first thing that we're looking at right now is once a user comes to the website, it's going to ask you for you to sign up. You can sign up, and then once you have all your information loaded in, you click the sign up page, and right after signing up, it is going to take you through a series of tests, which is basically going to ask you how much about about music business do you know already, right? Like just mock questions here. Have you had any prior music business knowledge? I'm going to click an option. And then it'll go through the next one saying, what are your music business and artistry goals? Like, you're basically feeding the intelligence, all of the information. So, what we are ideally hoping to do over here is for Sync Together to be able to generate a personalized chatbot version of a tutor for you to be able to take lessons before you access any other aspects of this website. right?
Mm.
So, have you worked with a personalized chatbot based tutor before? This is so we can understand how to kind of onboard you into the website. And then, it takes a little time, but after that, it is going to generate a classroom for you with all of the subjects that it thinks you need to be aware of before you can start monetizing your music career and being completely aware of your rights, the legal rights, and things like that. So, just some mock up subjects I put: music business 101, beginning to optimize your artistry, music branding and design aesthetics, because these are all basic subjects that you need to have knowledge on before you even like start on with your music career, right? Like the music is literally just, I would say, 1/10 of the music business at this point in the century, for sure, for like you to make money out of this world. So once you have your classrooms, it will give you an option to start creating your profile, which would ideally look like this, which is my goal is to make your profile look like a really good website for you, which you can share with people in the industry so they understand exactly what you're going through at that point in your life. So, you give your little introduction, you have all your social media stuff that you can do over here. And then you also have whatever music you have so far, all your achievements kind of goes on over here. This can be like, say you have music theory knowledge, or you've performed in this venue. All of those kind of things go here. Then this is one of my favorites. I think it's very important for Sync Together to kind of put the idea out there that this is mainly focused on building your community. So eventually, once you have your community, you can use the community to monetize your brand, like building merch and selling crowdsourcing finance for your next project. So you can join communities based on which level you are. So, like here, for example, I'm assuming this person is a level 5 student. So, you can access a level 5 community. You have job boards that allows you to access, gives you access for a level 5 student. Then you can also, bitch and whine about your music woes, because I think there should always be space for mental health in this world, because musicians are extremely emotional people. So these are just all like examples and ideas that I have right now, because this is what I want to build. And I think from my personal experience, that's kind of what is missing in this world. This is exciting for me. So basically, this is where the AI part of the website comes in, right? It gives you your next task in order to achieve the next level, right? So complete the next task to achieve up level status. It gives you a clear description as to what you need to do. So that way, are you here? Sorry, just making sure.
I mean,
That way you are not lost. There's always direction, and this kind of is what is missing in the music business world. You have musicians are so all over the place. It's nice to have someone to give them direction, because then we become extremely organized and extremely productive. Kind of what you're doing for me right now, Raj. It's it's so useful. So like, finish chapter 6 of Music Business 101, take the self-assessment, personalized test, and ace the test, and you can achieve the next accolade. And this is basically where you hit play and it takes you to the next level, right? So again, once you click that, it takes you back to your class. It will be more personalized at that point. Then I also wanted to introduce like a notebook system, so you can have all of your notes aggregated in one space, so you don't really need to leave the website for anything. I mean, at the end of the day, I love to use my pen and paper, but this is some place where you can keep them all together. So at the end of the day, when you are actually out in the real world, you can just go onto your website, log in, and quickly download all the templates for legal documents that you've saved. All of those things can go here, right? Again, my task will take you to where you are. communities will go there. This is, please excuse my skills over here. But this basically tells you what level of your education you are, and brings in that gamifying aspect that I was talking about, which also helps you determine what aspect of the job board you can tap into. So yeah, at this point, that's everything that I have built, and I basically wanted to introduce like a file kind of aspect into the website. Like different tabs, almost like I can't do all those design things right now, but that's my idea. Like this is your one folder that has everything that you need to do music business, and you walk around with it. This over here I introduced to kind of have your own personal to-do list, so that way you can do the task here, but you can make your own notes as to what needs to be completed outside in the real world in order to get have your shit together. Yeah, so that is kind of the overview of what we have so far. So let
So
me stop sharing.
actually, I keep sharing.
Oh,
Um,
sorry, let me go back.
I'm gonna give you some feedback.
Yes, hold on one second. Share screen. Share screen.
So this is like
Da-da-da.
the vision casting, right? You
Mm-hmm.
you need to go and do a stack ranking of features, right? Like what's the most important, and then go down the list because you're not gonna. It's not like you're gonna be able to build out everything all at once. So
Right.
you might find that that to-do list that you wanted is pretty low on the list of things to do because there's plenty of to-do list apps out there already. Why do they need
Yeah.
them, right? So, um, the education thing, number one on the list, and then you go down in terms of like the other stuff that you want to eventually add. And then if you went to an investor, they'd want to see like, all right, by Q4, what will you have implemented? By Q1 of next year, what will you have implemented? So forth. So you don't have a timeline like, given this many resources for development, I can go and implement this much in this much amount of time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so now, if you go back to sharing the screen, or maybe you're trying to share and I'm not letting you present. Yeah. Okay. So
What should I do?
here, um, in terms of artists, do a lot of them have Google accounts? Do they have Facebook accounts? Can you get rid of this altogether and just do login with Facebook, login with Google? Because that makes the step easy. Because having to put this stuff in will is a barrier to entry to get onto the platform, right? So if you can do a
Right.
single click sign on, a lot of websites will give you the option to do this, but then it also say, hey, if you have Google, Facebook, whatever other identity providers, to use those instead of creating your own back in the back end.
Okay, so that's easier to build, huh?
So like for our company, we use Auth0, which you just plug in their stuff, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you can configure it to make the look and feel similar to what you want for your website. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another option. So I would maybe update this page to reflect having both options, where you can either give us all your information or you can do a single click where then they get permission to your app and then you pull that information yourself, and makes it much easier to sign up.
Right. Okay.
Another thing, just right off the bat, and I'm sensitive to this because I used to have he's a friend of mine now, but he used to work for me before. He was low vision, and so like the sign up button and the rest of your website has low contrast, which if
Mm.
someone has vision issues, they're not going to be able to even read that this says sign up. It's going to be hard to read. So you want to have things with high contrast inside of. I don't think you can run against this now, but when you do have an actual website inside of Chrome, there's something called Lighthouse that you can go and run accessibility testing. It'll also it'll do performance. It'll do a bunch of things. But anybody that has Chrome can run this to see how good the website is.
Lighthouse
Lighthouse. So
inside of Chrome.
let me give you a demo.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm gonna keep your sharing going, but let me try to share one of, and I'll probably embarrass myself by showing low scores, but let's see how we do on my on Haley. So if you go, I don't know if you can you see me go into inspect.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing the right side here.
Oh no, I don't see where you are.
Hold
But
me. Oh yeah, it doesn't let me share. Let me share my whole screen.
okay.
Present. Uh, Stop screen. Present. Screen share. Window. All right, we're going to show ourselves. We're going to jump over to uh, Haley here. Okay, do you see the website on the left? And
Yep.
then, so to get to this is available to anybody that has Chrome. You right click, and then there's a inspect option that'll open up
Mm-hmm.
Chrome debugger. In here, you can go to uh, Lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that? And then you can say, you can do performance, accessibility, best practices, SEO. So I'm just going to do accessibility. So you can analyze page load. It will go and like look at all the fonts, if they're the right size, what kind of
Oh, that's
contrast
great.
you have to help you to figure out how accessible is your website. And that's just one portion. You can also use it for performance and all those other things. It's a free tool. So as you're building out your own website, you can, see where you have the issues, fix them as they go. So you see our score here is very high, 97, because we have good contrast with everything that's on the website.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that's good to know.
I didn't fully embarrass us with it. Be like, your website sucks for accessibility, and definitely. So, just off the bat, you're choosing that red with that black. The contrast is in there. You might want to
Make it
just play
white.
around with it. Either go darker red and then use white, right, for the
Yeah.
contrast, or a lighter red and go dark.
Yeah, because even on like the page, let me just see if I was going to go here, 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 here. This part over here makes so much more sense, right?
There's more
Uh,
contrast there, but even there, I'm not sure if you'd pass the test.
yeah, it's good for me to try out that tool. I had no idea. And it's funny because that's like one thing I was actually thinking. Do you think I was like, if somebody is, color sensitive and not able to view things, would they be able to see it? I did want to bring red into it, but I had that thought, but had no idea how to go about it. So I'm so glad you pointed that out and showed me how to figure that out.
Yeah, so let's talk about some other stuff. So you'll see, like, if
Yes.
you're using iPhone, they use a lot of curved everything, right? So sharp edges is tougher on the eyes than if you use rounded corners. Uh,
Mm,
you get a particular look with sharp edges, but it's a retro look, right? So if you want, you might want to, you can still have kind of like sharp edges, but a little rounded, But there is an ideal amount of roundedness that you want. That's like pleasing to the eye. So
mm.
if you added that, your website would look better, at least initially when you look at it from your first view. So
Okay.
scroll up.
Scroll up.
I would get rid of the whole my uh, thing. It's assumed, profile, classrooms, whatever. Um, on the right is level badge, so you put a badge there. Uh, Log out.
My
Uh,
God takes you out.
my pen, otherwise I would have taken more notes.
Sorry. There you go.
Yeah, so I think the main thing that you should do is stack rank what's
Stack
important,
rank.
and then really hammer the first one. If stack ranking has education as the first thing, you really build that part of it out before you even
Okay.
go to this other stuff. But you need to think of, like, for MVP, um, and there's kind of two different types of MVPs. There's minimal viable prototype, like that's what I take and I start having people test it, what you're building, the prototype.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving you feedback now based off that prototype. You didn't have to go build a whole website before you got my feedback, right? You can easily showcase.
Right.
This didn't take
Mm-hmm.
about 2 weeks to build out, right? So, and then MVP, which is minimal viable product, is what you actually take from the market. Like we have enough features and value that we can take out there.
Right.
So you always want to do the prototype before you do the actual product. The
Mm.
product, when you're actually building scalable, reliable, secure software, it's effort, right? Well tested, that sort of thing. Prototypes,
Right.
whatever, you just whip that shit together and you throw it in front of somebody, you get their feedback.
Right. Right. Um, so I have a question. So if I was to go in and, work more on the education, do you have any suggestion as to what would make the education aspect of this a little bit more comprehensive from where I am right now? Like I have personalized classrooms. Do you think I should work on more in-depth classrooms and like, or I didn't know how far deep I should go into one aspect of it?
I believe the future is going to be like chat bot interfaces,
Mm-hmm.
right? So um, maybe you have something where you show them like the classes they've taken, what's available, but really drive them towards communicating with your chatbot. And the
Yeah.
chat,
So how?
yes,
Go ahead.
so
So
like this is based off of the classes you took before. Your ideal candidate for this next class, which is going to help you, blah 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 blah. And then the chatbot tells them, and maybe they say, hey, actually, I'm really more interested because I have an interview coming up about this, and this, or I have a pitch that's coming up. Can you suggest classes that are relevant to that? And the chatbot would know about your classes and the content in it also, and it could even teach them right then and there, or they can go through the actual class. So I, I,
so
I would challenge you to maybe do a few different ideas of how you would lay that out, and then
yeah.
throw that in front of people and see like what's intuitive. How would you use this?
So just to say, like, I'm sorry, just thinking as I speaking as I think. So if to put it on paper, to put it on the interface, it would be like, maybe on the side, create a little square or rectangle or whatever that would have like a personalized, but I wanted to kind of bring different entities to kind of have be part of the chatbot. Like, say, I can talk about be Suvi is the one who will be talking to you for these classes, and then someone who's actually really good at something else about music business will have their bot, their personalized bot would be talking to on that class.
Mm-hmm.
So should I have like one home base chatbot and then have the classes be separate ones? So what do you think is more sensible in this situation?
I think both sounds good. Like you have the
Mm,
generic, maybe it's just you, Suvi, the generic bot that's trying to guide the person to the right classes. Maybe
mm,
dives into some content to tell them what it's about and whatnot. If they have more questions, they could dive deeper. And then
mm,
you have the classroom itself. So you have to kind of design that out, right? Like what's the landing page with generic Suvi talking to you about guiding you to which classes, and then what does the classroom actually look like? That's a chatbot oriented chat room where there are also
mm,
videos of the speaker talking about whatever topics with maybe transcription, and then the chatbot where you can actually somehow maybe you can let the chatbot know where they are in the transcript so they can like
mm,
talk about where they're at.
mm. Okay. All
And
right.
and the other day I did see a new startup that's doing like Chat GPT, where you give it your own content.
Mm-hmm.
So like the chat bots like ChatGPT, but you can give it specialized content that's part of your classroom or whatever. Now a lot of these, the like OpenAI's ChatGPT, they probably know all about
The
contracts and
this.
what. None of that stuff's like wasn't on the internet already. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have specialized stuff, like maybe you want to tell the chatbot like this is the course, here's the content. This I want you to go through it with a person. Maybe you could program them using this new startup that I saw, or you can do when you create a chatbot, you can give it a persona in the beginning, and you say like
Mm.
you're an expert on this, and this, and you're doing a class on this, and this. Have a conversation with the student and walk them through it, and every so often link them to a YouTube video or something to look at so they can watch it and learn.
Mm.
So I challenge you to reinvent what's like a really dynamic and intuitive and an engaging, online classroom.
Dynamic. What was the other one? Engaging,
Engaging.
interactive classroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can do that via Usered,
Yeah,
building the
you just do
mockups.
layouts and stuff on there. You wouldn't necessarily have like the chatbot stuff plugged in,
Mm-hmm.
but you can look around. There's a lot of startups coming out that are helping with chatbots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So
look for something where you can feed it. And let me,
screenshot and
yeah. So like the one that I had found um, is called chatbase.co. So, and I'm sure,
chat.
yeah, it's a custom chat GPT for your data. And I don't even know if you need that because ChatGPT probably already knows all the content for your particular. That you don't have any proprietary stuff that wasn't on the internet already.
Mm.
Just be working on like the initial prompt of the chatbot assistant or the tutor, right?
Right.
So you say, hey, you're a chatbot tutor. Your name is Suvi. You are currently teaching, this course. Here's the transcript that they're going through. Be interactive with the person. Ask questions, whatever.
Say that again, please, really quick, just so I register it.
So when you create these personalized chatbots, you give it a
Mm-hmm.
prompt in the beginning. You say like, your name is Suvi. You are a tutor teaching at a uh, online business called SyncTogether. This is course number 3. It's about contracts. This is the agenda or the outline of the talk that they're watching or the video or the article they're reading, and then be prepared to ask questions about what they understand, what they don't understand, and you're here to help them understand
Okay.
this course.
Okay, so I get it. So now basically I am teaching the bot how to run the class,
Mm-hmm.
the modus operandi. Okay, and I do it via prompts.
Yes.
Got it. It's registered second time around. Okay. So yeah, so going into basically just talking about what you mentioned, I dive deeper into the education aspect of the UI and try to bring in a more the chat based interface mock-up into that page, and also do it with the help of like the chatbase.co to kind of
Like I said, you necessarily might not need that because you're not dealing with any. So let's say I was going to make a chat bot for support for Upmortem for my
mm,
company for Haley.ai. Now, there's probably there's a lot of peculiar things that are just about our company that the general internet does not have. Okay,
right.
um, Now, for your stuff, you might have everything that the user needs to learn has already been on the internet. You're
Mm.
not, unless you have like tips and tricks that only you know and it's never been published on the internet. Then you could do something like chatbase.co.
Mm. So if
Hey,
not, then what is my option?
so you're either doing one of those two, right? Either you're using ChatGPT how it is with its knowledge base already, which I think it knows. We asked questions about contracts and all that sort of stuff for, and it knew about it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you ask certain questions for ChatGPT and it tells you, uh, doesn't tell you what you know, like, hey, I have information it doesn't know
Yeah,
because it's you, because ChatGPT was cut off in like 2020,
September
21.
20.
If you
Yeah.
have new information, then you need to bring in like a third party service where you can start feeding in new data.
Mm.
If there's no new data that you need to put in there, then you can just use the out of the box ChatGPT or the APIs that call it.
Okay. But my question is, how would I integrate that into the UI? I'm just going to have to like type it out and things like that, right?
So
Excuse
the UI, once again, there's probably a bunch of startups out there that they'll help you build a chat bot out, right? You give it a
me.
prompt and stuff, and then you can embed it into your website, which should be simple enough for like a developer. It might take you a while just because you don't have developer chops. Um, Now, if like I said, if you're just teaching information that's out there in the public, but you want to put it in a nice chat interface, then you don't have to go and use these other startups. You just use OpenAI stuff.
Okay, I think I comprehend.
All right. So next on the agenda here, as I bring it up, we were going to talk about. So that's all about the UI updates. What did you learn about funnel marketing?
Okay. All right. I got a really good idea about what's happening. What I did, where I got mentally stuck was if I were to create specific landing page links that would bring them from specific videos, then I was like, oh, that means I need to have my website landing pages all optimized and right and like have the right information. So I kind of like took a step back and started working a little bit more on the website itself, the
Hmm.
suvisociety.com. And then I realized, okay, I have to do a lot of things like the alt text and, minor details that I was not entirely done on the website. So that's kind of what took me back on waiting on it. And the other thing that I generated a bunch of like lead magnets that can, entice as part of the call to action to bring folks to sign up. So that way, I'm giving something for the signups. I also finessed a nice welcome email that kind of gives a good idea about what everything is going to be and where it's going to be. The other thing I got stuck on is as I was doing the email stuff, I was like, I realized I should like import all of my email lists from MailChimp, which is what I kind of was using, but not really into Wix. So I started doing that, which at this point is all synced in. So Wix has all of my 700 mail sign up subscribers at this point. And then I realized as I was reading through it, like it was like, as I was doing more, I was discovering more that I needed
Gaps.
to do.
Yeah. Well,
Huh?
you're not spending a lot of time generating copy, are you?
Copy as in copywriting?
Yeah, writing out, what's the name?
No.
Okay, good.
I put it in, it generates, personalize, copy paste. That's kind of where I'm actually taking time is to learn the process of, okay, so if I'm doing these email marketing things, then I should have figured out what drip marketing is. But then I'm like, okay, that can wait. That's like the next step. I don't have to do that yet. So like
Mm.
me actually determining what is my next step and what I can skip to, not being priority right now. And that, along with, I've written down on my whiteboard all the videos that would lead to each of these uh, lead landing pages, but then I have to shoot it. So then I'm like, oh, today's a bad hair day. Like, just all these mental blocks. But I know I'm completely aware of the challenges, and I'm aware of where I am getting blocked. And we are also moving this week. So yeah. So there's a lot of little
So
things.
many excuses, so many
I
excuses.
know, as I'm saying it, I can, like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, if I was listening like you are, I'd be like, this is just a bunch of excuses.
That's why we didn't have a podcast last week. We got too many
Yep.
excuses. All right. Well, I'm glad you got those excuses out of your system.
Thanks.
All right. Next up, call for beta testers. What's going on there?
Okay, so this I'm so excited. So I created a nice little video that kind of explains what's required out of beta testers, and since now that I have like a starting mock-up of uh, the SyncTogether page, I figured I can, get them onboarded right from here. Like, what everything that you mentioned was, so useful. I'm thinking someone who's also a musician would actually have more uh, things that they can point out at. So I posted on my social media calling for beta testers with this little video, and I was only looking for three,
Mhm.
and I have like close to like 15 people
Okay.
who are really interested. So I was like, all right, I'll get back to you by the end of today, tomorrow, and, like, go through the process with you to kind of really understand if you're in or not. Because I mentioned to all of them that, not all of them, most of them, I'm still getting more signups, that this is a long term process, and
Mhm.
that I would need a sort of commitment that is going to help me progress through it, because I can't have beta testers change. So then it would be a redundant process for me. So yeah, I was just like, there was a lot of interest, and a lot of them from that post even asked me, hey, I want to know more about it. So then I kind of linked all of them to our podcast, leading us to explain to them what exactly we're building, so they have more of an idea. And I got a bunch of engineers, computer engineers, reach out saying, hey, how can I be part of this? It sounds interesting. I can help in any way possible. But at the end of the day, I just received a lot of love.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
we talked about 15's a lot. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need. I mean, the more the merrier. But the thing is, you have limited time, and
Yes.
you're a one woman shop, right? So you can only put so
Right.
much time out there.
Yeah.
So figure out stack rank them also. Like, this is the best
Right.
person, and so, like, industry expertise might be useful. Someone that's completely new green might be useful. Like, you want to have it very disparate. You don't want them very similar, right? So you might have an excellent candidate, but someone else is also that excellent candidate. They're very similar, so you just pick the best of the two.
Right. So I figured I should go through a little bit of an interviewing process to kind of also see how organized and committed somebody is to their words. So um at this point I'm just receiving, and I already have you know a copyright of all the things that is expected out of them. And I want them to be able to go through it and say yes at the end of reading it. So yeah, that's kind of the system I figured I go through to finalize the five.
All right, great. Tell me about Mark.
Oh my God. Okay, so I have to be honest. I was very intimidated in the beginning to do this email, but I didn't show it to you because I wanted to check it out and see if it's just in my head. So I sent the email. It was a very short and sweet email. I just wanted to know. I told them, like, I'm creating something that is a chatbot based education platform. And I would be really interested in talking to you about partnering up, advisory, any kind of expertise that you feel like you can render to me at this point is appreciated. So can we do a little talk, a conversation? So he gave me time. We showed up on Zoom and I presented everything to him, and he was so kind. He mentioned that he would love to be part of it. It sounds very exciting. And if I needed any help with regards to advice, as much as possible, considering his time, he's also a very busy man. He would definitely be part of it and help me out, and he has been in touch with me since then to kind of just stay on top of it.
Excellent, excellent. Do you have like a one-on-one setup with them where you can, every week connect, talk about whatever?
So at this point, I was telling him about where I am on the process, and I told him once I feel a little bit more ready about how I can get his help, I will give him ideas as to how he can, make it and execute the process. So I haven't developed a routine-based system with him yet because I really want to know how I can use his time as much as possible with the time that I get from him. So yeah, I have to come up with an agenda.
All right. So, what are you going to deliver by next podcast? What are you going to work on? What's the deliverables? What's the homework?
So knowing that I'm moving this week, I don't think I can shoot a video.
Uh,
So I want to put the funnel marketing thing a little bit to once I'm settled, to maybe the
mm,
week after. But I can definitely go in and work on the UI a little bit more to bring in more aspects of the chatbot system into it, because that feels like a lot of homework for me to even understand how I can integrate. Like even this UI building, I learned about wireframes and I'm like, what? So then I like draw it on my iPad, take a snapshot, upload, and even though it's not exactly the same, I am able to like have a starting point and work on it. So I'm sure that if I do some more research about how to kind of integrate that into a mockup, like chatbot ideas into a mockup, I will be able to. I have to dream about it first. So the dreaming process is what I need to figure out with the chat thing. So then I can actually manifest it into real world.
are there other people that you can talk to that are experts in the industry that you can reach out to?
Experts in the music industry that I can reach out to about which
Sync
aspect?
together. Sync together, like the educational aspect or other things that you think are high in your stack rank of features.
So like business entities who can teach and like be part of it and things like that.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually did reach out to someone that I worked with in the past for my EP, actually, Rebo Rani, because we were thinking about how he can introduce a topic such as music production, like how
Mhm.
to actually get into music production. So he was interested in being one of the beta testers also to kind of help me out with the process. So yeah, so people like that, right? Just expertise from different aspects of the music business to be part of it.
Mhm.
Yes, I do. I can do that.
Yes, as many people, you have your beta tester set, but then you also want to just keep talking to people, getting feedback. You don't take everything to heart. You put it on your shoulder, you look at it. Does it make sense or not? A lot of people saying the same thing, right? And the shoulder doesn't get heavy, and then you maybe need to take it to heart as to, do I need to work on something different? Do I need to tweak this feature? All that sort of thing. So,
Yeah, I did speak with, I was in LA last week, so I got to speak with this really enter like very he's got a very entrepreneurship kind of mind and is always constantly building his business, introducing AR and AI and all of that. And he's also a DJ, an ex DJ, so he understands the pain points of being a musician. And I was talking to him, and he was immediately drawn to the idea, and in fact was like, for something that you are doing, I think you're asking very little in return. I was like, the subscription fee and all of that is not yet set in stone. I just have a ballpark number of $100, say. But then he was saying, like, if you're giving, just from his experience of consuming knowledge, he was saying, if I find that something is coming to me at a very cheap price, I might not really fall for the whole concept altogether. I feel like there's a lot more value in what you're giving than what you think is going to be the cost for it. So I was like, I took everything that he had to say, but I also reminded myself that that's like a future step for me. But then I also realized, if I don't have the ROI on my pitch deck for investors, if I, take the pitch deck to them, I need to know how much I'm going to have to charge, for subscribers to get on board on the
Mhm.
platform. Um, then I also came across this other business model of this company called Design Joy. It's a one man business. He generates 120,000 plus or minus every month by offering design services, on a subscription basis. And he provide I mean, for sure his client is like, big companies. He provides designs for, say, like Spotify and things like that, right? But his subscription starts at $5,000,
Mhm.
which in my head I'm like, holy crap. But the market that he's targeting is so different from me, right? So for me, that's like not possible. But what I'm noticing is I'm also blocked with regards to what is really the value of something that I'm offering. I'm coming from just my perspective for it, and I have to really understand how much people are willing to pay for something like this.
In terms of acquisition of users,
Yes.
marketing can get expensive, right? And you don't necessarily know. There's CAC, cost of customer acquisition. I think I did the wrong acronym. C cost, customer acquisition cost. Yeah. So then you can calculate what's the lifetime value of a customer. Like on average, they stay with us for 3 months, and after that, maybe they deserted and stop paying. Then you can figure out like if I spend X amount of dollars, that will get me Y number of customers, that will generate this much revenue, right? So that's something that when you talk to investors, are going to ask about that.
Right.
How much is it going to cost you to get a customer? How much is that customer going to give you? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what are the channels? So one thing that you can also think about is partner strategy. What
Mm.
partners that you can reach out to and be like, hey, we're offering this service. We know you have a lot of artists, Spotify, and they find this, service useful, and we can do a deal with you where for each artist you bring on the platform, they pay us $100. We give you 20, something like that, where you work out deals with where the artists already are at, go where they are, and then
Mm.
outreach there. So that's something you should think of also as a homework assignment is who are possible partners, and then once you've figured those out, how do you reach out to them? Now, you mentioned Spotify.
Mm.
Do you know anybody that works at Spotify? Do you know who used to work at Spotify? Like I try to reach out to Slack because I was trying to partner with them with our app, and I knew I had an old grad student that went to UCSB. I reached out to her. She worked there, but she's no longer. But then she connected me to a guy that was there. So like, you got to do the networking game. Remember we talked about how your network is your net worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how you can get into like certain partnerships. You just work your way through introductions.
Mm. LinkedIn, huh? I should get on LinkedIn.
You should get on LinkedIn. You should think about the people that you know that maybe were in the music tech space that can connect you to platforms that do have musicians already. They can also be,
Mm-hmm.
they can also be channels for advertisement. Like if you know a particular platform has maybe they are an education platform for musicians already, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
serve your type of content, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
can talk with them and be like, hey, we'll give you an affiliate link. If people come through that affiliate link, we'll give you X amount percentage of the revenue, right? So they're gonna get a commission based advertising going.
I can actually also get, just as you was telling me, to like actual IRL schools, right? Like the school that I went to, Musicians Institute,
Why
they
not?
would benefit from being partnered up because it now makes them look good because they can tap into like actual monetizations for artists once they like their artist career services can benefit from it.
If you have old professors that you hit them up. Hey, remember me? You inspired me to become an artist. Blah blah blah. By the way, I'm working on this awesome SyncTogether business, and I think it'd be very useful. And I'm willing to give a great discount for free for students, just to get the students in there and then using it. Because sometimes you'll have this is also a strategy that some of these large companies do. They go into the universities, they offer their services for free. Once the student is done with classes and whatnot, when they go out in industry, they go and say, "Hey, have you thought about that company? Because I know that company because I used their software when I was in school." It's a long
Mm,
term play. It's a long term play because you have to, it might be 4 years till they get out of school, they get into industry, and then they can make the suggestion of your business.
right. Yeah. It's a
Google
long
does it
haul.
well. All the big tech companies do this well. They'll offer the schools the free service. The students
Mm-hmm.
use the free service. They learn it. You want to stick with what you know. You don't want to use the other competitor because you didn't use them in school. So when you're in the company, you suggest what you're used to.
Right. That makes sense.
So yeah,
I was
think about
just
it. Schools, businesses. Where are the artists or the up and coming artists? How can you offer the service low cost, even free, to a limit that they can then proliferate for you?
yeah, okay. I was wondering, is Trello something that Haley would be good on?
Would Trello be something? Trello, the card moving app.
Yeah.
We use something called Linear, where we track our
Okay.
work. It's the same sort of thing.
Okay.
Columns, cards, and you move the cards along. It's similar to Jira, but
Linear.
Jira is like a monster now. It didn't used to be that complicated, but now Jira is pretty complicated. But there's a good amount of apps that are just do that columns, and you move the card along the column.
I see. Okay. What did you say? Linear is what you were using?
Linear is the one that we use. They have a free tier. We're on the free tier.
Okay.
Um, I think Jira has a free tier. So long as you don't get too fine grained, because it can get pretty complicated what you can do. It's very
Mm-hmm.
customizable, which is where the complexity comes in. Someone says,
Right.
"Hey, it's really customizable." I'm like, "Oh shit, it's gonna be hard to learn."
Yeah, yeah. That's I'm learning that.
So,
Yep.
for your work, how are you tracking to do, in progress, done?
Notion.
Notion? Okay. I've never used Notion, so
It's kind of primitive, but I've been using it for a while, and I know it can get more intuitive. They also have their inbuilt AI, but I'm not
mm,
signed up for. I can
awesome.
use I think like 20 things, but I just use ChatGPT because I have an account on that for everything. But Notion is kind of like where, okay, this is done, move it. The board system is where that's at. But I've been hearing about Trello being a little bit more like comprehensive with the process, but I've never messed around with it, so I don't know. So I was curious how
Yeah,
that
Trello's
works.
easy to use. You can
Okay.
you can jump on there and use it in 5 minutes. I think default Jira is also easy to use. It's just when you start getting into it and you want to really customize it, that's where you're like, whoa, where do I go to make that happen? Like it can get
What is it
complicated.
called?
Jira, Jira. I don't suggest it for artists. It's more for like
Okay.
even linear. I wouldn't suggest linear for artists.
Okay.
Use something like Trello, use something like Notion that you're mentioning.
Okay, cool. Then I'll just stick to my system.
All right, ready for our play out music?
Yeah, let's do it.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, share. If you like this journey, follow us. And we'll
Yes.
be back next week or the week after once there's a significant enough of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, that's the other reason you should be subscribed or sign up. So that way, if we change our times and stuff, you will still get notified as to when we're going live.
All right.
Bye.
Later.